A big deal has just been made for Gaza. It is an agreement that has captured the world's attention. After 2 long years of war, a pause in the fighting has begun. This is a moment of fragile hope for so many people. The ceasefire brings a temporary end to the violence. It is now headline news across the globe. This pause is a chance to breathe for millions. The deal was brokered with significant help from the United States. President Trump played a central role. He called it a momentous breakthrough. His involvement added pressure and focus to the talks. He also made clear the pause was conditional. He told CNN Israeli forces could resume fighting if Hamas violates the deal. The core of the agreement is an exchange. Hamas agreed to release all remaining living hostages. Israel agreed to release large numbers of Palestinian prisoners and detainees. The Israeli government voted to approve this first stage. The deal was formalized after the last hostages were returned. President Trump hailed a historic dawn in a speech to the Israeli parliament. The details of the exchange are stark and deeply human. Hamas freed the 20 remaining living hostages who had been held in Gaza. They also returned the remains of 4 hostages who had died in captivity. In exchange, Israel released 250 Palestinian prisoners. It also freed over 1,700 detainees from Gaza who had been held for 2 years without charge. This swap was the centerpiece of the U.S. brokered agreement. It was a transaction measured not just in numbers, but in the lives of individuals, and the emotions of their families waiting on both sides. The reunions were incredibly powerful. Freed hostages tearfully embraced their families in hospitals across Israel. Some had been held captive for more than 740 days. The wife of one returned hostage, Elkanah, said, "Yesterday was the most exciting day of my life, more than my wedding day." These are the moments that cut through the politics. They are the human stories at the heart of this deal. In the West Bank, released Palestinian prisoners arrived on buses to large crowds and waiting relatives. In Gaza, similar scenes unfolded. But for every story of joy, there is a story of profound loss. The remains of Yossi Sharabi, taken from Kibbutz Be'eri, were among those returned. His family now has a grave to visit, but their grief is immense. The return of remains brings a painful closure, but it does not erase the trauma of the past 2 years. This ceasefire is a major step, but it is extremely fragile. The calm is being tested almost immediately. Despite the agreement, reports emerged of new violence. Medical sources told Al Jazeera at least 5 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli attack in Gaza City. Other reports, at least 6 Palestinians killed by Israeli forces in northern Gaza. Other reports, at least 6 Palestinians killed by Israeli forces in central Gaza. These incidents create deep mistrust. Hamas quickly accused Israel of breaking the truce. Each act of violence, no matter how small, threatens to unravel the entire deal. Accusations are flying from both sides. Each side is watching the other for any violation. This creates a tense, unstable atmosphere. The UN Humanitarian Office reported Israel planned to reduce aid into Gaza. Reason given: Hamas had not handed over the bodies of all deceased hostages. In response, Gaza's border crossings were closed on Tuesday. Aid restrictions directly affect civilians, queues, hospitals, lost supplies. That adds pressure and makes it harder to build the trust the ceasefire needs. Beyond immediate violations, deeper unresolved issues remain. A major point of contention: the disarmament of Hamas. For Israel, disarmament is a red line, non-negotiable for long-term security. The scale of destruction in Gaza is hard to comprehend. The 2-year war has left the landscape in ruins. As the ceasefire took effect, displaced civilians began to return to their neighborhoods. They found a landscape of rubble. One man in Khan Yunis said, "No signs of life are left. Everything has been wiped out." The UN reports catastrophic damage to Gaza's buildings and to its infrastructure. The task of rebuilding is not just about construction. It is about restoring life to a place pulverized by conflict. The human toll is staggering. More than 67,000 people, mostly civilians, have been killed. Most of Gaza's 2.3 million people have been forced from their homes. They are in desperate need of the basics for survival. More than 2 million people need food, clean water, shelter, medical care. 700,000 children have had little or no education for 2 years. They need temporary classrooms and a return to normalcy. The international community is beginning to discuss the massive effort required. This ceasefire deal has opened a door, you know. It offers a glimmer of hope where there was only darkness. The return of hostages, the release of prisoners are tangible, human victories. They show that diplomacy can achieve what violence cannot. The immediate relief felt by families on both sides is real. This pause in fighting is a critical opportunity, a moment to step back from the brink. However, this is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a new, uncertain chapter that will require immense care and commitment from everyone involved. The risks to this fragile peace are significant and immediate. The recent killings, accusations from both sides, disputes over aid show how quickly things can fall apart. The world must watch carefully. To turn this pause into a lasting peace, several things must happen. First, both sides must fully respect the ceasefire. Second, humanitarian aid must flow into Gaza without delay to meet the desperate needs of the people.